My name is Robert Pereña. You can call me Robbie for short, and we just made a short film soundtrack with the song Pteryla. The idea of this project stemmed from a lot of different things, but predominantly a short stop motion clay animation I watched years ago that presented how we have been negatively treating the world. I remember it being quite surreal. It was all done in clay and it felt weird because of how the clay would look so human like, kind of like in the realm of the uncanny valley. It wasn't something I liked, but somehow it really grew on me, inspiring me to make projects that are purposeful, with a focus on the environment, and more specifically, using materials that can be reused through the method of rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is used in a variety of ways, though a lot of films that showcase this upfront also tend to fall in the uncanny valley, making some audiences feel a little uneasy. What I love about it, though, was its purpose to replicate the movement of, for example, the human body, making it more realistic on screen. But more specifically, how you can use that same action in other projects down the line, kind of like reusing or recycling in film format. With my goal of making films that reuse materials as well as the concept of rotoscoping, I eventually thought of an idea of a project using materials we could find in our garden, or could be used in the garden at least. Soil was definitely the medium I had in mind, mainly because of how it represented the earth. And from that, the idea grew into this short film about how peaceful Earth was until greedy humans came along and took this place for themselves. The idea, I think, was quite massive in my head. In my mind, it was an epic fight between humans and these soil creatures. Imagine like an anime-esque type of aesthetic, but with soil. Perhaps something I could just casually do at my own time because I enjoy the process of rotoscoping. And then Novo Amor came along with a 565 fund. I decided to join knowing it probably won't be accepted because I think even getting in would probably be impossible. There are so many creative Novo Amor fans out there, and the idea just felt so huge to work alone in the first place. So in the end, I decided to join anyway, thinking that if maybe this idea gets chosen, I can at least show everyone how films can be done a little differently, using the things you can find around you, and with our story, regardless of how simple it could be, a much deeper purpose of meaning with the environment being in its main core. I'd like to think this project has a lot of subtext, such as how the stop motion rotoscope bits felt more rustic and raw to represent how natural the world is, whereas the digital rotoscope feels a little cleaner because of human advancements, yet jarring at the same time due to the uncanny valley, which would represent how humans can too be very jarring with how we affect the environment. Considering how I wanted to incorporate the uneasiness of the uncanny valley into the film, some thought had to go with what the design of the characters were like, and even during editing, some changes had to be made. The Soil character was inspired by various game and cartoon characters I grew up with, and the costume for the reference was made out of clothes hangers and some paper plates. On rotoscoping, the flowers on its neck was represented through moss, with eyes made of garlic skin or stones. The human character, on the other end, was initially meant to look more human, wearing metallic clothing through rocks and nails whilst wearing a mask, but eventually became a character made entirely of onion skin with printed out ties, donning a very glitchy aesthetic to suggest how the human has lost his humanity. On paper, rotoscope is easy. You shoot your reference video, and then you place in your materials on top of it, tracing the movements as you go. For the stop motion rotoscope part, we had a projector on the bottom of the shelf and a camera on the top of the shelf pointing down, and we would try to trace the movements of the projector with the materials we had like soil, garlic, and onion skin, and a whole lot more. We take one click and we have one frame. In total, we had 4,320 frames in the whole film, and the stop motion rotoscoping process took around 2,673 frames. The rest were done digitally by my good friend Aaron Henricks, who introduced me to Novo Amor's music years ago. We really love his music, and quite literally helped us go through some tough times in our lives. Overall, though, I just learned so much in the process of this project, and though it may be far from being anything perfect and barely scratches the surface of its purpose, with many people now being so much more aware of the environment, I'm excited to see what the future generations will be able to accomplish together to build a better tomorrow. And I would so love for this project to be part of that accomplishment in some sort of way,